I really think a practice of gratitude every day. And for me, I like it better in the evening because I go through my day and I think, even when it's a hard day, I always find something to be grateful for. And
Hmm.
I think it's such a great reminder when we get through our day, even if it was really crappy, like, okay, what's one thing that I'm grateful that happened today? Maybe it was that my husband got home early. Maybe it was that I had an amazing dinner. Whatever it was, it's always a reminder that to really think about the things that we do during our day and a reminder that tomorrow's a new day. So the things that we struggled with today, tomorrow's a new day.
Welcome to Her Unshakable Confidence with dynamic mother-daughter duo Simone and Olivia Knego, where they discuss the secrets of transformation and how to build bold confidence and unwavering resilience. From intimate conversations with inspiring guests to sharing their personal journeys of triumph and challenge, Simone and Olivia create a supportive space where every woman is encouraged to rise above her fears and love the woman in the mirror. Tune into Her Unshakable Confidence and join this special journey of connection and growth. It's like catching up with old friends who inspire you to be bravely and uniquely you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Her Unshakable Confidence. I'm Simone Knego.
And I'm Olivia Knego.
And today we're going to be talking about gratitude, which I know we've talked about before, but I just think it's such an important thing to kind of revisit on a regular basis and not just being grateful, but gratitude practices and figuring out how to be grateful even when things suck, right? Because there are days like that where you're like, oh my gosh, everything in the world sucks right now. What could I be grateful for?
So, what are you grateful for right now?
So I am grateful that I am over COVID. That's a huge grateful
Oh,
right
did you
there.
test positive, negative?
Well, I don't know. I haven't
Okay.
retested because they tell you don't need to retest, but it's been a week now and I'm finally feeling better because that was just, and I was not expecting that, right? I had it one other time and it was a very mild case, and this time hit me like a ton of bricks. I
Yeah.
was down and out, literally in bed for 5 solid days. So I'm grateful that I'm feeling better because that was awful.
Hmm.
And those days sucked. But I tried to make the most of those days. So even though I was in bed, I watched a lot of videos, educational stuff, not even like fun stuff. Like I did work stuff. I really did. I tried to really not focus on the fact that I felt like crap and really focus on the fact that, okay, what else can I be doing right now? And of course, your sister's like, why aren't you just sleeping? I'm like, I'm sleeping 10 hours at night, which never happens to me. So there's no more sleep left in this body. Like
Yeah.
I have to be doing something else because I'm not tired anymore. I mean, I'm exhausted, but I'm not tired. So if
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm grateful for a lot of things, right? I'm grateful that my roof has a tarp on it right now because we had a roof leak and that was really sucky and they can't replace the roof for a few months. So it's like the little things to me right now. I mean, health is a big thing, but there's a lot of little things going on that I'm grateful for. And there's a lot of big things that I'm stressed about. So, but it's the reminder that finding little things to be grateful for can really kind of change your mindset about things. What about you? What are you
Yeah.
grateful for right now?
Um, I'm grateful for the position I am, like the position I'm in life. I think
Mm,
that I'm at a really cool part of my life and that like it's something I really can't take for granted being in a brand new city and like being in law school. It's just obviously I'm super grateful for this experience. I'm grateful that I live with someone that loves me. I'm so grateful that I live with my boyfriend and that like on super hard days, like I won't have to cook dinner or even clean up after dinner because he knows I'm going straight from studying one class to straight from studying another class. And I think it'd be really difficult to do this experience alone and have to come home to not even like the perks of him living there, like dinner and like being it clean, but just coming home to someone there that I can just like vent to and like that
hmm
feels my frustration. I'm really grateful for that. And I'm grateful that I've been having like social experiences recently that like is outside of law school and outside of just classes and being able to connect with people that will hopefully be lifelong friends. I mean, obviously, I'm like a week and a half into law school. I can't say anything, but it's just having the opportunities in the first place to make connections has been really cool.
Yeah, and I know that was something that you were really worried about. So I think that you really kind of charged full force on that. And, it's like anything else, right? You have to be a little bit patient with things to
Yeah.
figure out who you want to be around, who you fit in with, make sure you're on the same plane when you're talking about what your goals and stuff are.
Yeah. It's an interesting experience right now, I'll say. I'm grateful, like personally, while I am obviously doing tons of work, it's such a hard thing when people are like, "How are you doing in law school?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm overwhelmed, but like I'm still going to bed at 9 every day and I wake up at 7 every day. Like I'm sleeping so much, it's fabulous. Like I still have so much time to myself." And I think that's because I went into it like not having my last semester of college was I had a class 1 day a week, so I
Mhm.
realized how much free time I have and I realized how to balance a schedule like that. But I'm grateful that like I am having self-care time and I don't know, for the extra time I can find into my schedule.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get themselves so wound up when they have something new, right? And they can't figure out how to balance their
Yeah.
schedule. And granted, some people have multiple things going on at once, right? They might be
Oh,
going to
yeah.
school and they might be working and they
I
might have a
can't even
kid and
imagine. Yeah, and especially in a postgraduate program, you have all of the above. You have people working, you have people with kids, you have people that are caregivers, you have people that are planning weddings, you have literally everything.
so it's really something to not take for granted that
Oh,
you do
absolutely.
have all
Yeah.
of this time that you can really get your work done efficiently and then take some time for yourself, which
Yeah.
even when you have six things going on at the same time, you really do have to still take some time for yourself. Otherwise, it becomes unmanageable.
And it's probably the most annoying thing to hear, I will say, in this experience is that like you have to find time for self-care. And I think it's because we have this idea of what self-care looks
Mm,
like. And I think we have, at least for girls my age, and I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing, but I think of self-care as like face masks, which I honestly don't like doing, watching a movie, like, like painting your nails. And don't get me wrong, like I just got my nails done, but um that is not my version of self-care and like taking time for myself in law school. My version is, oh, I get a brain break. I'm going to sit down on the couch and throw on whatever show I'm watching right now.
hmm.
I just started that 70s show. Pretty good so far.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. But, I think for me at least, it's been so exhausting to hear it because it's like I'm not fulfilling what the world's expectations of self-care is because I'm not being like I'm not going out and okay, I still do everything else. Like I'm still like I'm showering and doing all those things. I'm going to the gym regularly. It's not like I'm not taking care of myself, but like my specific self-care when I feel the most like at peace is like when I'm crocheting on the couch.
Yeah, I think everybody has different ideas of what self-care is, and what is kind of promoted in the media are you need a massage, you need a facial, you need your
Yeah.
nails done,
And those things are
yeah,
fabulous.
yeah, for
I
sure.
just can't I can't do that. I wish I could afford a facial every week.
Yeah.
I wish
But
my skin would like that too. I don't think it would.
yeah, your skin looks really good right now, by the way.
Thank you. I love my
Yeah.
dermatologist here.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
So, so, but for some people, that is what self-care looks
And
like to them,
that is
right?
so great for them. It just, I struggle that that's the only idea that comes up in the media.
Yeah. But self-care could be anything. I mean, my favorite self-care is sitting on the couch, watching a movie, drinking a glass of wine. That to
Yeah.
me is the ultimate self-care because I don't have to think about anything else. I am just focused on the movie most of the time. Sometimes I do something on my phone at the same time, but that's still self-care. Like I feel like everybody does things differently. And going back to the gratitude piece about being grateful that you find something that works for you, right?
Hmm.
Enough of something that it you're able to regroup afterwards, right? Instead of
Yeah.
really just feeling like, well, that was a waste of time. Self-care should not be a waste of time. So sitting on the couch watching a movie, when I finish watching a movie, if it's something that I've chosen, I will say that it's never been a waste of time. Now, I've watched like SpongeBob movie. Okay, you cannot get your time back on that. But in general, in general, that to me is really my
It
favorite self-care.
also shouldn't be something that you are dreading doing. And I think that applies to like all parts of life. Like if you have such limited time outside of work, outside of studying, don't like agree to things that are just like you don't want to
Mm,
do. And whether that's social engagements or like, oh, I did book myself a facial today, and but I really don't want to go. Why did you do that? Like that's not the self-care that works for you then. Like I think that's the biggest thing for me. And sometimes I struggle to differentiate between not wanting to go and just being antisocial because I think as much as I'm an extrovert, sometimes it's hard for me to get into the mood to be social. Um, but it's seriously like if it's something you're dreading doing, you don't have to do it. That's the best part about being an adult.
yeah, you do have a choice. You have a choice every day of the things that most of the things you do.
Yeah.
Again, there's still things that
There's
we have to
exceptions to
do,
everything.
right?
Like shower, brush your teeth, feed yourself,
Very good
pay
choices.
taxes.
Yeah, important. But in terms of how you take care of yourself, in terms of not take care of yourself, in terms of the self-care piece that is the bonus that is beyond the necessary, like that is completely up to you how
Hmm.
you want to do it. And
And I think on top of that, it's not up to you to like discuss or degrade anybody else's version of self-care. Um, and I think that why I'm saying that is I'm thinking about like boys in video games right now and how that like for a lot of them that's like their major hobby and like I don't know, a lot of people are anti-video game, especially when you spend so many hours on it. But like right now, if that's your version of self-care, like after law school and after you're done with the day and you want to just like go online, like that is a totally valid version and it's
mhm,
not up to anybody else that you live with, anybody else on the internet to be like, well, that's not valid and like you're wasting your time with that.
I think it's a really important point because I think I would have said that with all the kids, they've all had some kind of, well, especially the boys, some kind of
Tech
video
addiction.
game, yeah, and video game situation. And I did used to think, oh my gosh, what a waste of time. But when you look at it from the self-care perspective, it makes sense, right? I mean, the kids go to school, they do work all day long, and let them choose how they want to take a break. Now, I'm not saying let your kid play for 17 hours a day,
No, don't do that.
but if they have an hour of free time in the evenings, 2 hours, whatever it is, as a parent, like if that's what makes them feel good, and if that's what makes an adult feel good, you see so many men who are totally into gaming, right?
Which is
And
like, yeah, we shouldn't make fun of people for that.
but we do. I'm not
Yeah.
saying we, but yeah, you see people like, oh my gosh, isn't he grown up? Like, why is he still playing Xbox or why is he still? And everybody finds their outlet in a different way. And just because someone wants to play video games as their outlet. Now, if that becomes like they're playing video games so much that they're not paying attention to their own children, that's a different story. But,
Yeah.
everybody needs something that works for them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and like, who are we to judge that? We aren't. I mean, I'm grateful that I have something in the first place that I do de-stress with. I think for a really long time, I kind of beat myself up over the fact that I didn't have a hobby. Um, and that my hobby was like, just like scrolling on TikTok, which for me, I kind of feel like is a waste of my time
Mm,
now, especially.
yeah.
But with me crocheting, it feels like it's like, first of all, I don't even know how to explain it. If you're interested in it, anybody listening, I like highly recommend starting. To me, there's like no sense of accomplishment like finishing something and wearing a piece of clothing that like you literally made. It's insane.
Yeah, I think that's so cool. And then watching, I don't remember his name because you remember I'm bad with
The
names.
swimmer at the Olympics,
Yeah,
yes.
that just sat there in the stands when he wasn't doing stuff and he's just crocheting or knitting
Yeah.
away and doing his thing. And
And
actually, even I was at Jacob's house and I think Mike must be knitting too, his roommate, because there was a crochet thing on his desk where he works. And I was
Oh,
like, oh,
that's
I think
funny.
he's crocheting. So, and again, who are we to judge that? Oh, if a man crochets, oh, that's weird. Come on, please, right?
Yeah.
It
And
is so relaxing for some people. For me, it would be stressful because I'd forget my count and I wouldn't be able to do it. Like that just would not be relaxing
mhm.
at all for me. But I can see how it can be, such a great way to relax yourself for self-care.
Yeah. Oh, self-care is great. Once you find out what works for you.
Yeah. And do you do any, because I still do, and I've been a little bit off the bandwagon lately, but in terms of like, I mean, I have my self-care practices, I have my positive affirmations, and then I really try to do evening gratitudes. I don't do it all the time anymore, and I need to get back on the bandwagon. And maybe this episode is a reminder for me that the importance of having evening gratitudes because we go through our days and they're fast, right? I mean,
So fast.
it's
Oh my
like
God.
a week passes and you're like, how did that happen? A year
Yeah.
passes, how did that happen? And I really think a practice of gratitude every day. And for me, I like it better in the evening because I go through my day and I think, even when it's a hard day, I always find something to be grateful for. And
hmm
I think it's such a great reminder when we get through our day, even if it was really crappy, like, okay, what's one thing that I'm grateful that happened today? Maybe it was that my husband got home early. Maybe it was that I had an amazing dinner. Whatever it was, it's always a reminder that to really think about the things that we do during our day and a reminder that tomorrow's a new day. So the things that we struggled with today, tomorrow's a new day.
So I feel like I do a couple of things. I'm a big fan of always writing down what I'm doing. Because I mean, A, lists always help me keep organized, but B,
Mm.
sometimes like writing down everything you've done in a day makes you realize how much you actually accomplished.
Mm.
I know I struggled a lot last semester when I was only one day of class, like making my days worthwhile. And I mean, even if it was just like I went to the gym and I did laundry, like that's two things that I was like, wow, like I'm grateful that I accomplished those two things today. Those are pretty big. But one thing I do, and I do this with Jack, is that once a week we'll do Rosebud-Thorn, which if you don't know, Rosebud-Thorn, we did it at summer camp. I think like it's a big icebreaker activity, but your rose is the one good thing of your week, or some good thing you want to mention doesn't, a thorn is the one bad thing, one thing that you didn't enjoy, one opportunity for growth, and the bud is the thing that you're looking forward to for the upcoming week. And I think it's nice because like sometimes we just skip over some of the details in our day. It's kind of, for me, sometimes it's hard to remember that like not everybody I talk to is living the same day as me, experiencing the same things. But also like that way we can address any other issues. And it's just like really good like moment of reflection.
I love that. And I didn't know that. I haven't heard that before, but I
Oh,
think that's such
really?
a
Yeah.
cool thing that, and I would imagine it's something you could do daily, but I think a great way to start is once a week to really,
Well, it's also a good way to get like anybody involved in your household to like just talk about what they're grateful for. And I mean, Thanksgiving should not be the only day a year that we
yeah,
reflect on our gratitude.
yeah,
And if
so true.
Rosebud Thorn is like a 5 minute thing you can incorporate in at your dinner table with your young kids, like that's so easy. It makes them reflect, which is a critical thinking skill that every child needs to learn. But it also teaches them gratitude and like we can't just ignore the bad parts of the day
Mm,
too. We have to be like, hey, this happened. It sucked, but it happened.
yeah, I think that we don't think about that as much. We like to, when something crappy happens, just kind of tuck it under the rug, right?
Yeah.
And that's not how you are able to move forward, right? I mean, when something crappy happens, you got to learn from it, first of all. But,
Yeah.
and acknowledging that it happened, okay, that's a
That's the
huge
first
step,
step.
right? But
I
showing
mean,
gratitude for other things that are happening, even when bad things are happening, I think is such a important
yeah,
process.
it teaches versatility of emotions and that like once again, like things, I don't know, not even once again, just like things aren't linear and that like your emotions aren't always going to be rational and add up with each other. And I think a lot of the times that's something I struggle with is that like when telling a story or just explaining my day, I'll realize that like the general storyline doesn't add up. But once again, my life isn't a storybook. Like there is going to be parts of my day that are really good, like hours at a time that are great, and like 5 minutes that are bad, and I'm still able to recover from that.
Isn't it interesting though, when you think back, like I think back to when you guys were little, and I think some adults approach it like this as well, but I think back to like we had this amazing day, we had this amazing trip, whatever it was, and then we were supposed to get ice cream and we get there and the ice cream place is closed and then it was the worst trip ever, right? Worst day
Yeah.
ever. And I think a lot of people remember the one bad thing that happened and that will ruin their whole day instead of understanding that that's just one moment.
Hmm.
Obviously, especially true with children because that was their whole focus was
Well,
getting the ice
yeah.
cream. But
And kids don't understand magnitude and like the weight of events. But I think that reflecting on your day and reflecting on what you're grateful for is a great way to like think about even with small kids, like all the rest of parts of your day. Like, yeah, you didn't get ice cream, but like you met Mickey Mouse this morning. Like that has to seem better if
oh
you remember
yeah,
that
I forgot
happened.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And I don't know. I think it's a really good activity at least.
yeah, I think in the moment though, sometimes it's really hard when you're having something really crappy happen to be grateful for the rest of the things that have been good. But I think it's that acknowledgement of that there are other things going on that I think is really
Yep.
helpful.
Yeah, and I mean like I don't ever think it's the worst thing to say that like well there it could be worse. Like my bad thing could be worse. And these are all the great things happening around me as well.
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure. Like this week where or by the time this comes out, this will not be this week, this will be in a month from now, but the I had to remind myself, obviously being sick, I wasn't able to go do the things that I was supposed to be doing. We had to cancel a trip and, is there that fear of missing out? No, I had to kind of change my mindset on that and say, I can't be there. Like, unless I want to infect everyone around me, I'm not going. Like, that's just not the right thing to do. Plus, I felt like crap, like literally horizontal. I just could not move. Getting dressed, totally out of breath. Taking a shower, totally out of breath. So, but I could have just gone down the rabbit hole of being so upset about everything because I basically, by getting sick, Rob, your dad couldn't go, I couldn't go on this trip. And although he could have still gone, but he didn't want to go by himself. So I get it.
He's
But
been, hi, Dad. You've been liking to do a lot of things with Mom recently, which I think is very sweet.
yeah, he likes my company. He wants
Yes.
to hang out with me. So I appreciate the fact that he stayed home. I do think it was very, very sweet. And, but I could have gone down the rabbit hole of being so disappointed. And yeah, I mean, I was disappointed, trust me, but I still have to be grateful for the other things around
Yeah.
because life still has to move forward.
Yeah.
But you do see some people just focus on the disappointment so much and forget about the importance of being grateful for the rest of the things that are happening. And there is always something to be grateful for. And when you're really struggling, if someone reaches out to help, that's something to be grateful for, right? I mean, when you spill your coffee. Actually, you know what happened yesterday? Dad was carrying in a box of wine. He went to put it down on the counter before he could put it down. One of the bottles fell out of the bottom and shattered everywhere. And poor guy, red wine everywhere in the drawers, in the
Oh
cabinets.
no.
And we have
That's
white
brutal
cabinets. And he's
cleanup.
like, oh my gosh, did I ruin the cabinets? It all cleaned up, right? It all cleaned
Yeah.
up. And you know what? He was grateful for the 11 that didn't break. But yeah, I think as a society, we focus a little bit too much on the negative
Hmm.
and we need to reframe and really focus on,
There is just literally, and maybe once again, this just comes down to the situation I'm in where like my life is consumed by one thing right now.
mm,
There is no way that I could physically get through the day if all I focused on was the negative. There's no way. There's no way. There's too much to do. There's too much life to live to like I just couldn't get through the day. If I had to focus on the entire day how I messed up in a cold call rather than just like, oh, I got all my homework done and I'm understanding what's happening in classes, like that would just it just wouldn't work for me.
but don't you think that's a mindset shift? Because
Oh yeah.
so there's a study out of Queen's College in Canada that there's all these different ideas out there of or previous studies that show how many thoughts you have a day. Some studies in the past have shown 60,000, 70,000 that you have this many thoughts a day. Well, this new study showed that you have 6,200 thoughts a day. And they do it through like imaging. I don't know exactly how the study works, but I will. And they talk about the percentage of those thoughts that are negative. 85% of those thoughts are negative. I mean, that's a crazy number of negative thoughts. So you
Yeah, that's
see
insane.
how you can be consumed by the negativity if you just let it stop there, right?
Yeah.
You have to learn how to reframe. And, I like my little method for it, which is the Control Alt Delete method, is that we have to be in control of our thoughts, right? You can't just let things just go running through and going down that rabbit hole every single time, right?
Hmm.
We have to be able to alter, right? We have to be able to change the way we're looking at ourselves, the way when someone else has something to say, we need to kind of change that so that we're not like focused on the negative. And then the delete part is really getting rid of those negative ideas and the people in our lives that kind of constantly focus on the negative to bring us down. And that to me, obviously, that's a hard one, but it's a really important one to set your boundaries, right? And to not let people walk all over you, to not let other people's thoughts become your thoughts. So
Yep.
when someone is talking horrible about someone else, no, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm not going to go talk negative about somebody. I'm not going to make someone else feel bad, right?
Hmm.
So
I mean, just
that
be individualistic, I think is kind of a big mindset shift that I've had. And like I feel like I used to be a big focuser on the negative. Like yeah, I feel like I used to, I mean, I still am a rather anxious person, but I think that I just have chilled out a lot throughout college. I became a lot more mellow. And I think that like with time and age and just like thinking back, you realize that like you hear it so many times. Oh, this event, like you're gonna think back 10 years from now and you're not gonna remember it.
mhm.
And you don't. You don't.
In the moment, it was the most important thing ever
Yeah.
and or the worst thing ever. And then like I know sometimes my mom will say something like, I don't remember that. I don't remember that
Yeah.
at all. Oh, okay. But in the moment, sometimes it can be really difficult.
Well, even thinking back to like my LSAT, I had like a big technical
Mm.
difficulty during it. And I was
Oh my
like, this
gosh,
is
that was
the
the end of the
end.
world. Yep.
I'm not gonna get in. And now I'm in law school.
And
Like,
you didn't even have to retake it. Like,
no, literally no issue happened from it. But in that moment, I was like, there's nothing worse that can happen in my life except for this.
and
And
that's
now
why we
it's
need
like,
to control our thoughts, right? We
yeah,
need to understand that we have control over them. That when we start going down that rabbit hole, we have to be able to alter the way we're looking at it because otherwise it can be all consuming.
yeah. I mean, and it's not an easy thing. Like, I'm in therapy, I regularly talk about it. And like, it's not something that's just going to come naturally. It's something you have to work towards.
You have to
But
work towards everything, right?
exactly,
Even when you have natural talent in
you still have to
anything,
work
it's
towards
a
it.
20,000 hour rule. You still have
Yeah.
to work. So you can't look at other people and say, "Oh my gosh, they're so lucky that they're able to do this." It takes hard work to, I mean, everybody thinks that there's this easy fix or that there's an easy way to make money, right? If there were, then there
Everybody
wouldn't
would
be
be
any
rich.
discrepancy. Yeah, everybody would
Yeah.
be rich. There would be, so that's not how it works. You have to put in the time for things, and that's true of gratitude. You have to make it intentional, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
And so I think I need to really reinstate my evening gratitude practice on a regular basis so that I really
I feel
remind
like you
myself.
should do it at dinner time. Make everybody talk about what they're grateful for today.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they might be like nothing. I'm like, you have to find something.
Yeah.
You have to find something. You got to play video games today. Hello, grateful.
Yeah. Like gratitude doesn't, you don't have to be like grateful for this massive thing in your life. You can be grateful because you woke up today and it was nice. It was the right temperature in your apartment.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Hmm.
And, or your roof's not leaking. Hey,
Yeah.
that's a good one. Or if your roof is leaking, there's other good things that are happening, right?
And I mean, I'm grateful right now that like at least here the weather is starting to cool down a little bit. It's in
Yeah.
the 70s instead of the
Oh, you're
90s
so
now.
lucky.
Yeah, and it's
I
like
say
the beginning
lucky.
of
Huh?
fall.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that ever happens for you guys.
Well, once we get through hurricane season, then it will start cooling down a little bit. It's still pretty miserable. And we had, oh my gosh, 2 mornings ago, we had the craziest storm, like from 2 o'clock in the morning until like 7 o'clock in the morning. There were multiple storms like back to back and like right on top of us. So, the thunder and the lightning. And it woke up everybody in the house. The dogs climbed in the bed. They were so scared.
Oh my
So
God.
I was
You
grateful
know
that my
what?
dogs climbed in the bed.
This is a big tangent, but I will say the weirdest and I would say worst thing about living in an apartment as someone that like was raised in a rainy Florida state, like is that you don't hear the rain on your roof. I never know when it's
Mm,
raining out. And I love the sound of rain on the roof.
yeah.
I love it. It's like one of those things that's kind of comforting to me. And I mean, yeah, like it's comforting to me because of the area I was raised in. It was so normal, but I don't hear it anymore. I literally never know when it's raining.
So when you come home, you're going to be grateful to hear rain on the roof.
Absolutely.
Ah,
And when I eventually buy a house, hopefully, God willing, I'll be grateful for the sound of roof or sound of rain on my roof that's
yeah.
hopefully not leaking.
Key point.
Yeah.
How's your calendar? How's your calendar looking for today?
Pretty good. Oh, wow. Okay. Every experience you have, from anger to depression to joy, excitement and apathy, they're all human, but you don't have to jump into bed with them every time they show up in your head. I swear I don't pick these. I swear I don't. I swear I don't.
It's so funny how they all have like
That one was
that,
weirdly.
that was really, really close,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, but exactly that. Just because you have them doesn't mean they have to,
Take
you don't have to
over.
jump into bed with them. Like you
Yeah, they
don't
don't
have to
have to
let them
take
take over
over.
your life.
Yeah.
You just have
You
to acknowledge they're there.
you have a choice. You can change the way you see yourself. You can change the way you see things. You can change how you feel. I mean, all these different things. You have a choice every day and you just have to move it forward, right? So,
Exactly.
great way to end.
I know that was a great calendar. I'm
Yeah,
so shocked.
I know. So, thank you so much for joining us on Her Unshakable Confidence. We will see you next time. And always remember, here we go. I'm tired. Always remember, you are unshakable.
Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to Her Unshakable Confidence with Simone and Olivia Knego. We hope this episode has made your day just a little bit brighter and given you the inspiration you need to confidently go about your week. Always remember to be authentically you. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And feel free to connect with them on Instagram at Simone Knego and at Olivia Knego. Till next time.